Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and GameStop is doing it again. They've brought back their 4 under 20 for 40 and their 4 under 20 for 10 right after the buy two get one, which was right after their previous 4 under 20 for 40 and 4 under 10 for 20. And so they're doing these back-to-back promos, and I'm a little unsure as to why. Doesn't really make full sense to me, especially seeing as how last year they didn't do as many of these promotions, and this year they're kind of like running them back to back. I kind of get the vibe that there's a portion of their inventory that they're trying to get rid of, and I'm not really sure which games in particular, because when you go to their website, like I said, you always see like the same like 360 games, the same PS3 games, the same DS games and Wii games, and you even see the same GameCube games. Like all of that stuff is pretty much the same, but there's a big difference when you actually go into the stores. You see a big variety. Now, I have 5 games in particular that I know for sure the employees did not want me to know were at the location, because someone in the store, one of the employees, either had plans on buying it or they didn't realize that it was there. And once I started to do like some minor probing and they realized it was there, they were very upset that I was buying it. Now, I've seen cases, or I've heard of cases rather, where GameStop employees, once they realize they have like a rare game in their store, I've seen cases where people have said that an employee straight up told them that they couldn't sell them the game and basically lied so that they wouldn't have to sell the game to them. I think Gamer Aimer had an instance of that where she was at a GameStop where they had a complete in-box copy of like Super Mario World or something like that. And if Gamer Aimer sees this video, she can clarify what it was. But I do remember her putting out a video where she went into a GameStop, they had a complete in-box Game Boy game, and the employee just straight up told her, I can't sell you this game, or I'm not gonna sell you this game. Now, thankfully, I've never had something like that happen to me, but I have had a few like jerks lie about trade hold, telling me that a game is on trade hold that really isn't on trade hold, or they'll just make things up because they don't want to sell you the game, which, again, unless they're going to buy the game, I don't know why anyone wouldn't want a customer to buy a game. But GameStop employees definitely are out here buying these games. And which is why whenever I go to a GameStop, I try not to ask for anything like too specific. I try to be real general when I'm probing to see what retro games they have. I'll just ask like, hey, do you guys have any retro stuff? And I'll typically start off with consoles that I know most people don't still play. I'll start off with like a console, something maybe really random. Like, do you guys have any Sega Saturn games or Sega CD games? And once you say stuff like that, they know you're looking for retro. And if they're not aware that there's a particular game in the store and they're cool, they'll just start opening drawers, not really knowing what's in there. So I'll show you these games, and then we'll talk more a little bit about like how I probe for retro. So the first game that I know someone in the store wanted to buy was this copy of Teen Titans. Now, Teen Titans isn't super rare or anything, but this is a very fun game. It plays a lot like, think Marvel Ultimate Alliance, just with 5 characters. And it's the same format. It's kind of like this isometric top-down viewpoint. Each character has a fast attack, a strong attack, and then they have the ability to perform their signature move or their signature attack, right? But the cool thing is that you get these different power-ups throughout the game that allow you to do almost like a super attack, which I thought was a pretty cool element to the game. And this is just fun. I think that what they did with the graphics is amazing. The way the graphics are done in this game, it's just absolutely timeless. Like, even though it's a game that's decades old now at this point, the graphics still stand up to this day, because they didn't go for that ultra realistic look. They went for more of what feels like a cell shaded graphical approach. And I think because of that reason, this game still looks great and it still plays great. So this was one that I found at a store, and I know they did not want me to walk out with that. Another game that I know they wanted to keep was this copy of Dragon Quest VII on the DS. Now, I remember when I was actually checking out with this game, an employee who was just coming in, they picked it up and they were like, we had this game? And you could tell you could see the frustration on their face. Like, this would have been gone had they been there when this game had come in. So sometimes with these 3DS games and DS games, because GameStop still sells DSs and 3DSs, there's probably still a larger population of folks buying, playing, and still collecting 3DS and DS games. So I tend to find that some of the really good ones, like, they go right out the door, or even some of the more rare ones. So this was one that I know an employee wanted to grab, but they snoozed and they lost on that one. Then, of course, most GameStops, I think, especially retro GameStops, a lot of retro GameStops do have GameCube games, but it's not often that you find them complete in box and in good condition. And so when they do, those games typically get scooped up really quick, unless they're common GameCube games that GameStop is known for having. What are common GameCube games that GameStop is known for having? That's games like Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, Super Smash Bros., Paper Mario. There's another one that's not coming to me, Mario Kart. Like, those 5 Mario/Luigi games are typically always in stock either on GameStop's website, or you can easily find those in a store. Now, how complete they are, they're not always that complete. Now, some close runners up to those games are sometimes you'll see copies of, like, Wind Waker. Wind Waker is a game that you'll typically see on their website. You'll also sometimes see The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, the GameCube version. So sometimes you see that there, but it's, you typically don't see a lot of the Zelda stuff. I mean, it will pop up, but not too often. Every once in a while, you will see this bad boy pop up on the website, and it's usually gone within seconds. But very rarely have I walked into a store and found a complete in-box copy of Twilight Princess. Now, the day that I went and grabbed this copy from my local GameStop, it was mint condition, complete, really great shape. And it was kind of funny because one employee who tends to look out for me let me know that it was there and pulled it out. As soon as I walked into the door, they pulled it out and was like, we have this for you. Like, this just came in. I know you're going to want it. Sure enough, I picked it up. But another employee who didn't realize that it was there, the salt, like, I wanted to just name them Lowry's because that's how salty they looked. And this is one of those games that I know they didn't want to slip by, especially in the condition, because condition definitely matters. Now, on that same day, there was another uncommon GameCube game, and that was Phantasy Star Online. Now, this isn't the one. There is like a really expensive one that I think comes with like either additional DLC or additional content of some sort. Not DLC, but there's some type of additional content. That one's the really expensive one. This one is still great in my opinion. Phantasy Star Online episode 1 and 2. I actually played this for a few hours when I first picked it up, and still a quality game. Not one that you see often, and not one that you find complete in box at GameStop. It's really tough to find these games in good condition and complete in box. So those were a couple that were just, I know, the employees wanted. This last one, there was no shadow of a doubt that the employee wanted this game. And I only know because once their coworkers handed it to me, they were literally screaming, no, don't sell that. Like, I want that. Like, literally. And that was this copy of Resident Evil Gaiden, which I recently picked up. Now, I asked if they had any handheld games. I didn't even ask for any games specifically. I said, hey, do you guys have any handheld, like, retro games? And he just started to rattle off all these Game Boy Advance games. And once he got to this one and his coworker overheard him, like, his coworker was heading into the break room and he came running back out of the break room, like, telling him, no, like, don't sell it to him. Now, he was halfway joking, but like halfway serious. And I was definitely serious about buying it. So obviously I left the store with it. But this was one that I know that the employee wanted, and that employee actually wound up picking up some other Game Boy Advance games, some more rare Game Boy Advance games that they had at that store. But on that day, between the games that I was picking up and Resident Evil Gaiden, I kind of just left them with some of the Game Boy Advance games because I wasn't trying to hog everything that day. Clearly, that employee wanted to pick up some of the stuff, and I figured, you know what, if I'm not like a hog this time around, maybe they'll continue to look out for me in the future. So I kind of wanted to just build and maintain a solid relationship with them at that store. And so I pretty much left with Resident Evil Gaiden and like a couple of PlayStation 2 games. But yeah, the promotion is back, and it's funny because none of these games, or maybe one of these games, were available during some type of promotion. But a lot of times, the more rare stuff, you typically don't see the rare stuff pop out during promo weeks and stuff. And I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but it's something that I noticed. But let me know what you guys think. Have you ever run into an instance where the GameStop employee doesn't want to sell you something and you kind of have to like, claim it in a way? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.